Hey everyone, and welcome to 1.21 Jigowatts. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly movie news show. It is the first episode, in fact, of 2019. So welcome back, Happy New Year, and we're going to talk about movie news, we're going to talk about movies that are in development, we're going to talk about shocking movie reveals this week. We actually have one big thing to talk about this week, which was exciting.
Which you may or may not have already seen us talk about.
On the trailer talk, yes. Which is weird. Like, if they actually, let's say the industry actually transitions to revealing movies almost exactly with the trailer, we'd have to reconsider how we cover these things. But this is like a once in a, like,
This isn't gonna stick.
yeah, I can't remember the last time this happened. So I don't want to quite say it's once in a lifetime, but it's a handful of times in a lifetime.
Yeah, at least for something of that size.
Yes, very odd. Yeah, so movie news. We start with box office. We talk about genre movie news, horror movie news, comic book movie news. Although surprisingly, not a lot of comic book movie news this week. In fact, none that I thought was worth putting on the show. So
Yeah, Aquaman's just been dominating all the space, and they went, screw it, let's not bother.
pretty much. So that is the general gist, the idea of what we do here. And at the end of the show, we'll plug a few things. Maybe talk about anything we've watched that's not for shows. That kind of thing. We'll tell you about our new merch store at the end as well. Stay around for that.
That's right, we have merch.
We have merch to try and sell,
Which, if you watch any of our other shows, you're probably sick of us telling you about by now.
Yeah, but it makes sense to mention at least once in all the shows.
Yeah.
So
For you guys that do watch all of the stuff, sorry.
So box office. That's what we're going to start with. We're going to start with box office. We have five. Count them, 5 weekends.
We don't need to
of
do
box
all
office.
5 weeks.
Well, we'll be doing them all in some capacity because we made guesses for at least a few of those weeks. For some of the opening weekends of a few movies.
You can just hit the highlights. Those weeks, those movies.
Because the first weekend we guessed for was the weekend of the 21st to the 23rd December, which was notable because opening that week was Aquaman.
God, that was that long ago.
Yeah.
That was a month ago.
That was Aquaman, Mary Poppins Returns, and Bumblebee all opening.
And I remember drastically overshooting all of them.
Yes.
I was feeling optimistic for some reason that week.
Yes.
It's not like me.
You were feeling very
Going out of
optimistic.
the year on a high note for some reason. Back to normal now.
So, Aquaman was number one with 67.8 million. You guessed 80 million. I guessed 75, which I don't think is that terrible, I guess, to be honest. So,
Mine's not that much higher than yours.
yeah, but I'm closer, so I'll win.
Yeah, but you're going, oh, that's not that terrible. I mean, mine's barely more than yours.
Yeah, it's worse though, so it's fine. And then Mary Poppins was number two with 23 million, which, given the fact that I guess 70 and you guess 65, makes us look like fools.
Yeah, well, mine's not that bad, I guess.
No, it's not. It's still terrible. They're both terrible.
Yes, but it's closer than yours, so it's fine.
No, but mine was actually close in the last one. Yours is still miles off.
Closer than yours, though.
Oh, he's such a prick. So here's the thing: Bumblebee and Mary Poppins Returns are both kind of bombed. I mean, worldwide, we'll talk about worldwide, what everything's at currently when we get to the current weekend. But worldwide, have both kind of. I mean, at least Bumblebee's done okay, but definitely these cannibalized each other. All three of these movies. Obviously, Aquaman did the best anyway, but I think all three cannibalized each other.
Aquaman swam through it somehow. I'm sorry. I feel awful.
I feel like I mean my puns may not be great, but I put more effort in than that.
I'm tired. I'm just like, screw it.
Like you could say Aquaman's keeping the DC universe afloat. There you go. That's a
No,
good
but
pun.
you already said that one 3 times on 3 different shows.
No, I didn't. You're exaggerating.
You said it at least once on a show and once on Twitter. I'm counting Twitter as a showy
That's
platform.
not a show. You can't count Twitter mentioned as a show.
Actually, I think you said it on the DC podcast, the comics. You said it on the DC TV show, and you said it on Twitter. And now this 3 different shows, even excluding Twitter. This was the 3rd. Screw you. That's not putting any effort into your puns whatsoever.
It's just recognizing when one of them works. That's what that is.
No, it's not. It's recycling shite.
Potentially, I'd rather recycle the shite than hit it with what you just hit it with. Thank you very much.
Yeah, fine.
So yeah, so that was the top three. Spider-Man at the Spider-Verse was number 4 with 16.4 million. That was its second weekend. We'll talk about totals when we get towards. I wanted to mention that one. I thought that was worth mentioning. But moving on to the weekend after, which was December 28th to the 30th. Only new entries were. I mean, Vice is not a small movie necessarily because obviously it's in the running for awards and stuff. But it's small in terms of box office. 7.7 million. Debuted at number 6.
Was it a limited release or was that a wide release?
That's wide. Holmes and Watson.
We guessed for that one.
7.4 million at number 7. This is the movie that notoriously Netflix turned down.
Tell me we guessed for that one.
We did guess for Holmes and Watson.
Go on.
You guessed 16 million. I guessed 25. So both horrible.
We both drastically overshot, but I was significantly closer.
It was doing better. I never actually said what we guessed for Bumblebee. I guessed 55. You guessed 65, and it was like 21. So.
Well, did we guess Mary Poppins?
Yeah, I told you that.
Oh, we said those ones. Yeah,
we said those ones. So you won Mary Poppins, I won Aquaman and Bumblebee, and you won Holmes and Watson. So I guess we're at 2 apiece.
Yeah.
I won that first week though. Luckily, there's only one left that we've guessed, so it'll break the tie no matter what.
Yeah.
Unless it's magically exactly in between our both guesses, which is possible.
It could happen. It hasn't happened yet, but it could happen.
It could happen. So just for that weekend, Aquaman number 1 again with an impressive 52 million, and that is impressive because it's only a 23% drop from week number 1.
Strong, yeah.
That is actually fantastic. Mary Poppins Returns went up 20% to 28 million, and Bumblebee
got people going over Christmas for sure.
And Bumblebee only dropped 3.5% to 20 million. So despite the fact that both of those underperformed in the week 1, they held incredibly well for week 2.
They did, yeah. I think, do you know what that is? It tells me that people picked one that first week and then went to see the other one the second week.
I think possibly as much as some films have done really well over Christmas, it is a bit more spread out than necessarily everyone going at the one weekend. So
because people have time off, so they kind of don't all rush at the same time.
More importantly, on top of that, number 4, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, went up 14% to 18.7 million.
Some good word of mouth.
In fact, it's worth mentioning most of the top 10 went up. Most of them had a slight increase rather than a decrease.
This is the week between Christmas and New Year's, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So, that's what it is. But it does mean that Spider-Verse, Bumblebee, and Mary Poppins, despite not making tons of money, held incredibly well. And if they can do that for a few weeks, then it kind of makes up for the fact that the opening weekend wasn't that great.
And Aquaman really held well.
Aquaman really held, despite the fact that it's not that good. I mean, it's not bad. Aquaman's not a bad movie, but it's not a particularly good movie either. I don't think it deserves the success that it's had.
Not really, but it's one of these weird things where it's not amazing. It's really not. You can go watch our review that we did.
It's a solid 6 out of 10.
Yeah, but if this is what I have to, if this succeeding tells them that they're moving in the right direction, I'll take it.
Yeah, but my worry is that they'll stop, moving. They'll just be like, oh, this is good enough. We'll just stay here.
It's possible.
Because I don't think it's good enough to just stay here. This is not plant our feet.
But I mean, if I had to take 4 more of these or 4 more of what it could have been.
Anyway, so then moving on to the first weekend of January. This is the 4th to the 6th. Number 1 was again Aquaman with 31 million. So pretty good haul for week 3 as well. I'm not doing the totals. I'm waiting until we get to the newest weekend before we do any totals.
Any new entries?
New entry was Escape Room at number 2, which we did guess for.
Yes, we did.
We did guess for. I guessed 10 million. You guessed 12.
What did it come in at?
18.2. Actually, did better than you thought.
So what you're saying is I won. Shouldn't have been so smug on that first one now, should you?
I won that first week though, because 3 of them were on the same week. I won that week definitively.
Fine, but I won the next 2 weeks.
And Aquaman and Bumblebee were easily the most 2 interesting things we guessed for. So I'm happy that I won those.
No. That doesn't count. There's no bonus points for interest. Cold hard figures. That's all that matters.
I'm making the rules. Whatever I say counts.
The audience will disagree.
I don't care.
They know I won.
Number 3 was Mary Poppins Returns that weekend with 15.8 million. Number 4 was Bumblebee with 13.2. Number 5 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with 13.1. So they all dropped. Don't get me wrong, they all dropped 40 or 30% each. But again,
I know where they should be dropping at that point anyway.
Yeah, but it held so well in the weeks previous that it's still kind of a nice holdover in terms of the cumulative amount. So everything that was out before Christmas, we still had a pretty strong week, given that this was their third or fourth weekend, depending on the movie. So that was pretty good, which takes us on to the weekend after this, which was January the 11th to the 13th. We did finally have some new entries. We didn't do any guesses for this. We thought we'd be back for that week, and then we ended up delaying our return.
Things were quiet.
Things were quiet news-wise, but busy with other content, so it just made sense to push it a couple of weeks. So number 1 was a new entry of The Upside with 20.3 million. This is the remake of the French film with Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
So,
which there was a bit of backlash about, wasn't there?
I don't know. I didn't see any.
There was a backlash about Cranston playing the disabled character, saying that he was taking roles from disabled actors.
I never saw that.
It was a thing. He hit back, going, "Yeah, well, where's the line? I'm an actor. I don't have to be whatever the character is." It was a thing a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I mean, I can
see both sides.
I can see the argument for it. I can see the argument of, but it's acting, so it's I guess that's a really tough one to talk about. I feel
it is.
I don't have an answer for that.
No, I don't think there is an answer at the minute like that.
I completely get if you're a disabled actor and you see that these roles, however few they may be, as being your chance to really use who you are as a way to perform in a movie, and have that be taken away because other actors are taking the roles. But it's not something I've honestly would have ever thought about had someone not spoke up about it.
No, and at the same time, the cynic in me goes, yeah, Bryan Cranston's a name that sells. To a point.
He's a popular name. I don't know if he's a name that sells. I don't think he's a movie star, if that makes sense.
No, but he's enough of a name that people recognize, and sometimes that's enough just to stand out a little bit.
What do you think about Gary Oldman playing a little person? And what's it called? Oh, I see. It's called Tiptoes. It was a movie that was shelved for years. It stars Matthew McConaughey, and then Gary Oldman plays a little person in it, and it is the most ridiculous trailer you've ever seen. Seriously, Google the trailer for I think it's Tiptoes or maybe Tiny Feet or something like that. Oh,
I don't know, but I imagine they probably hate it. You're Googling, oh, for God's sake. Please tell me you're not Googling Gary Oldman little person. You are, aren't you?
No. Tiptoes, it was Tiptoes.
Okay.
Oh. Right. Yes.
Did it ever come out?
It did come out eventually. It got released VOD or direct to video eventually. But Google the trailer for Tiptoes, you'll be amazed. All that money went into effects to make Gary Oldman be the person when they could have just cast someone that was actually that size. It's kind of silly. Anyway, so that was number 1 with 20.3 million. Number 2 that week was Aquaman with 17.3 million. Number 3 was a new entry with A Dog's Way Home with 11.2 million. Number 4 was Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse, which I think is interesting that both Bumblebee...
That's been at 4 consistently.
Yeah. It's interesting that Bumblebee and Mary Poppins both dropped below that, as did Escape Room as well. So that's very interesting that's got better legs, arguably, than the other movies do. So that's 9 million. Number 5 was Escape Room with 8.9. 6 was Mary Poppins with 7.6. 7 was Bumblebee with 7.2. So I'm just kind of stopping there because that's where the interesting stuff stops. But that finally takes us on to this current weekend. Number 1, of course, was Glass, which is the new entry, with 40.5 million for the traditional 3-day weekend. It's a holiday weekend, though, so
by all accounts, it's a little bit below projections because they were expecting 55 to 60.
Yeah, a bit lower. I'm actually surprised they were expecting that much for this, though. I would never have assumed this was going to be a
I think this has comfortably made its budget back already.
Yeah.
Which I believe Shyamalan funded himself.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
I think I read something about that this week, that he paid for it all himself.
But yeah, so that was number 1 with 40. Number 2 was The Upside with 15.6, which is a pretty good hold for that, actually. That's only 20% down. Number 3 was Dragon Ball Super Broly,
Broly, yeah.
whatever that is, 10.6 million. Number 4 was Aquaman with 10.3 million. Number 5 was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Only dropped one place in its 6th weekend.
Yeah, that's hanging on in there.
That had 7.2 million. Number 6 was A Dog's Way Home with 7.1. Number 7 was Escape Room with 5.2. Which, given that's a low budget horror movie, that's actually done quite well for itself.
Yeah,
I'll look
they'll be happy enough.
I'll look at some totals in a second once we've done this top 10.
But just based on those 3 weeks, they'll be happy.
Number 8 is Mary Poppins Returns with 5.2. Number 9 is Bumblebee with 4.6. And number 10 is On the Basis of Sex with 3.9. So in terms of totals for the interesting ones, Aquaman.
Let's get the biggie out of the way.
That has made 1 billion and 63 million on the record at the time of recording this.
Yeah. First DC film to cross $1 billion since Dark Knight Rises.
That's kind of funny. Notably, domestically, it only made 304 million, which isn't terrible, but it's just interesting that the ratio there is so weighed. China loved Aquaman.
Yeah,
is what we're saying.
Like 300 million domestic is still respectable.
Yeah, but just in terms of the percentage of what the total is, compare it to.
I think we spoke about this a lot this year. Well, the year just gone.
But compare it to not Aquaman. Compare it to Black Panther, where domestically it was over 700 million of its.
Yeah,
total.
that's what I was going to say. We spoke about that a lot over the last year. That Black Panther was the oddity of being so high in its domestic, whereas typically now we're seeing 30-70-ish. Split compared to what was a 50-50. Black Panther was very heavily
70-30 is still notable. That's on the extreme end. 60-40 is what I expect.
No, fair enough.
Yeah, 70-30 is definitely the more extreme split.
I don't feel like it's that extreme. It just feels it because it hit $1 billion. So it's you're seeing 70 and 700 and 300, so it feels more extreme. But I don't think it actually is.
No, I think it is. I disagree with what you just said, but it doesn't really matter. So that's Aquaman, over $1 billion. Like I said, I don't necessarily think it deserves. I mean, there's a lot of movies that have made $1 billion. I don't think it deserve $1 billion, but I don't think Aquaman's that good. I think Aquaman is a decent enough movie that's okay. It's better than most of the other DC Universe movies for sure. Wonder Woman beats it though by a comfortable margin. I'd say.
That's the only one that's better than it though.
But it's not a high bar though. Is the thing. I don't think it is deserving of this much success. And I say this is like because I know the comments are always going to be like, you prefer Marvel. No, I don't. I'm a DC person. I prefer DC characters.
Yeah, I don't think this deserved $1 billion, and I preferred this over Infinity War.
I'm not that insane. Infinity War was a solid movie, but Aquaman is decent. It's not great. We talked about it at length. We talked about it for over an hour on the review. You can check that out. Number 5, like I said, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I should just call it Spider-Verse. That's what everyone's calling it.
Yeah.
So that's actually made 322 million worldwide now. That is a pretty even 50-50 split as well.
It's pretty respectable.
It's done well. It had a $90 million budget. It's done quite well. It's already spawned news of a sequel and a spin-off and possibly even TV series. So Sony are happy with this.
And awards buzz. It might steal it away from Disney Pixar or whatever it was this year.
Good. Their monopoly, their reign of terror has to end.
Yeah, fair enough.
It has to end. Spider-Man should win. Already won Best Animated at something else. I think it was Golden Globes.
Golden Globes, yeah.
Yeah. So Spider-Man made over 300 million worldwide. What's Bumblebee? Bumblebee's an interesting one because again, I feel like I had a weak opening, but it's actually made 412 million worldwide, which is actually enough. And again, this is the extreme split here. This is 72% to 28%. Foreign. Again, China loves those Autobots.
Yeah, maybe it's not quite as extreme as you think, and you're just misremembering.
No, it is extreme. This is. You're the one who's misremembering here. This is a more extreme percentage.
All right.
Do I have to pull up examples?
No, it's fine. I haven't got time or the energy of caring for that.
Well, don't fight me on it then.
It was just a snide comment. I wasn't really fighting you on it.
Yeah, that's all the ones that I feel like checking the worldwides of, really. Unless you want Mary Poppins, I don't really give a shit.
Nah, I'm fine.
I've clicked on it now. What is it? 306.
Again, not bad.
I feel that seems disappointing. Given what Disney usually do for these live-action remakes, or in this case, a sequel.
I feel like you say that. I feel like their live-action ones are really hit or miss.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like they can blow it out of the park. Don't get me wrong, but there are definitely live action Disney films that kind of just sit there and do nothing.
Which leads us to the guesses for next week, which we don't have anything super big coming out next week, but we do have
It's
one or
not.
two.
It's January. It's not that exciting usually.
Yeah. But we have The Kid Who Would Be King, and we have Serenity, which obviously I'm mad at because there's another film called Serenity, which is the conclusion to the hit television show Firefly from the creator of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Joss Whedon.
They can't both be hit television shows.
Oh, there's only one hit television show?
There's only one hit television show. You get one.
Where does
It's a
Angel
hit.
fall into this? Spin off.
It's a semi hit.
We can have multiple hits. That's the thing. So yeah, so I have no idea what to expect from these. What's your guess?
Serenity 8.
8, okay.
Kid Who Would Be King. I don't know. 14.
14, oh my. Kid Who Would Be King.
So I might get a few kids in. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm gonna guess 18 for Kid Who Would Be King, and Serenity. I'm going to say. Basically, it's like, I think you're in the ballpark, and it's just a case of me saying, do I think it'll be slightly lower or slightly higher? So, which side do I want to go on? I'm going to say 7.
Yeah, fair. See, I don't feel like I've heard anyone say anything about this movie
Nah.
at all.
The only thing I've
It'll-
seen about this is I was recommended a video on YouTube of Anne Hathaway doing a McConaughey impression, which I clicked
That
on.
sounds delightful.
Which I clicked on, of course, because I wanted to see it.
Was it good?
It was not bad, yeah.
I'm gonna go check that out.
What was good about it is that she kind of just leaned back and just started like talking like him, and it was just kind of like it wasn't a perfect thing, but it was so
But quite
good
natural.
and how natural it was that it passed.
Definitely gonna go check that out.
It was on one of the late talk shows. I can't remember if it was. I want to say Kimmel, but it may have been someone else. Anyway,
Yeah, they're all the same.
so there you go. That is box office, the lengthier return box office of 2019. Back
Oh, thank God we're done.
next week, it'll be back to the one weekend per episode. You're welcome. So we can get on to the news itself. Like I said, no comic book news this week, not really. But we do have something big to start off with, and that is out of nowhere, Ghostbusters 3. It may not be called that in the end. Right now, it's just the next
3-ish.
yeah, Ghostbusters sequel. But it is Ghostbusters that is connected to the first 2 movies, so it's in that universe. It is directed by Jason Reitman, who I immediately looked up and said, is he actually related to Ivan Reitman? Because I'd heard of Jason Reitman before. And it turns
Yeah,
out,
what's he done? Because I am
his son.
familiar with his name.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, fair enough. It doesn't matter.
I can look him up, hold on.
I just figured that you said you'd looked him up, so I thought maybe you'd remembered a couple of things that he was connected to.
I mean, I remembered, like, I know the name, like I know he's done stuff. I just couldn't remember.
Yeah, that's it. Like I'm familiar.
Oh
enough
yeah,
with-
yeah, he did like Up in the Air and Juno.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, so he's done some.
I really like Juno.
Yeah, Tully, of course, as well. Young adult. You know, he's done some.
Yeah.
Good notable movies. So
So he's a competent filmmaker.
he is, yes. Which I appreciate after Paul Feig. So
So, because I never saw that Ghostbusters movie.
Mhm.
You said there that this was in the same universe as the the first two. I assume that one still was.
No,
some
no,
no.
the actors from the original all have cameos as other characters,
Right. Okay.
and no one's ever heard of the Ghostbusters. Like they form it from scratch. So
Fair enough. So this is very much a reboot. Okay.
yeah, so there's not even debating it. They never existed in this world.
No, that's fair.
Yeah.
I never saw it, so I was not familiar.
Which was weird to me. One of my complaints with that script is why not just set it in the same world and have them be the new generation of Ghostbusters? Like, why is
Which
that?
is that's why I mean I just assumed
Yeah.
that's what it was because that's clearly the obvious thing to do.
Whereas this one, the buzz is it's going to be teen versions. But some of the original cast may be back. It's not confirmed, but it's set in the same world. I'm going to take a giant leap here and say that at least 1 or 2 of the members are probably going to be the kids of the original characters.
Yeah, at least one.
I think Egon would be a good one actually, because since we can't actually have Harold Ramis back because he passed away, it'd be nice if the one who's actually related to original Ghostbuster was maybe the Egon kid.
That makes sense.
That'd be a nice little touch. But so yeah, so Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan co-wrote the script. It's going to shoot this summer, and it's coming out in 2020. And more notably, a day after this, because obviously I roll my eyes a little bit. You know, Ghostbusters 3 was rumored for like 2 decades,
Yeah,
and
and you're
fell
like,
through.
sure, it's happening.
Let's get a teaser trailer the very next day, which was shot in secret before the announcement. And it's very simple. It's it's the music from the original film, the creepy music, the ghost music, and then the camera comes up and a gust of wind blows the blanket or the tarp, and it's the Ecto-1 underneath the tarp, and you see the logo, and it's like, this was perfect. This is a perfect little teaser trailer, came out of nowhere, and it feels real. I don't think, even as I just said, we got this news and I went, this doesn't feel real. There is.
Yeah. Kind of wish they'd put that out before the news, though. Just let that sit there for a day, and people will be going, "What the hell is this?"
I think the problem is that because you have to title it, there's no surprise element.
No, but if you just put Ghostbusters, right, and put the trailer up, and then you do the press release the following day of, okay, this is what it is.
But yeah, so I don't want to get too hyped for it, but I do expect I'll probably like this more than 2016, which I had a lot of problems with. Mainly direction, how the jokes lingered, and I hate Melissa McCarthy, which is a shame because I really like Kristen Wiig, and Kate McKinnon ended up being delightful. But
yeah, this is reasonable. But I mean, based on Juno is a very funny film. Yeah, and that's the sort of comedy I can get quite into. So and in terms of the directions there to serve that,
and they should be smarter here, I assume, and make it a smaller budgeted film because Ghostbusters does not need $200 million.
That amazed me when you told me how much that cost.
I'm ballparking. It may have been 150, but even 150's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's
like
does not need that much. Yeah,
too much. Anyway, so that's Ghostbusters 3. It's coming 2020, summer 2020. So it's a thing. It's happening unless everything falls through. But the thing is, though, is because they've already shot a teaser, because they're going to focus it around younger characters. Even if all the old cast say no, it can still exist.
Yeah.
They'll just say they're all dead. It's fine. Yeah. And maybe Bill Murray get his wish, play a ghost. Because that was Bill Murray's thing back in the past. He said that I'll do Ghostbusters 3 if I'm a ghost in it.
Why not?
Sure.
I just checked its budget. Just for comparison, Ghostbusters 2, it tells me, budget was $25 million.
But to be fair, 1989, that was a meaty enough budget at the time.
Yeah, but not astronomical by any means.
Not astronomical, but it was a solid Hollywood budget at the time.
Yeah, solid. Whereas this here, 144. And then you account for marketing on top of that.
Yeah, absurdly expensive.
Yes.
Ghostbusters should be like these days maybe like a 60 million movie.
Yeah, 80 a push.
Yeah. Anyway, so next up, so here's news. Do you like Mission Impossible?
So. Not particularly.
I wasn't really asking you. I was more asking home. If you like Mission Impossible,
I know, but I mean,
you're getting 2 more. Christopher McQuarrie has signed on to direct the next 2 Mission Impossibles, which would be the 7th and 8th films in the franchise, which is getting us up to Jason Takes Manhattan numbering.
Which one did he start with? Was it 4 that he started with?
No, 5.
5?
Yeah.
Oh, of course. 4 was Bird.
4 was Brad Bird, which is the best one in the franchise. But 5 is decent enough. 6 was pretty solid. I watched it a few weeks ago. It was a solid action movie. The stunts are very impressive. It's a good action movie. So he's signed on to do 7 and 8, and this is pretty decent news. It's like, you know what? He's not the most exciting guy in the world, but the last 2 have been solid. So
yeah, I mean, when I said I don't really like them, just because I haven't really seen them. I've not got the interest. I don't dislike them.
Honestly, like 4 onwards are really worth watching just for the action stuff and the stunts.
Yeah. I just, I like 1, and then 2 was atrocious, and I never came back to the franchise. I just went, whatever.
So these are going to come out back-to-back years as well. They're going to come out summer 2021 and summer 2022. He's writing and directing. We're going to make them back-to-back. And it's notable that they're not aiming for 2020, which they maybe could have done, but 2020 summer is when Top Gun 2 comes out. So think of that as that's that year's Tom Cruise Paramount movie. so yeah. And I wonder if also part of this is like, Tom Cruise is actually like in his mid-50s. We kind of have to, like, if we want to get a lot of these,
he insists on doing everything.
He insists on doing all of these stunts, but there's going to come a time when he actually just can't.
Yeah.
Either because he's dead or because he's just too fragile.
I'm not sure which one comes first.
Yeah, he's going to go out in a blaze of glory.
I would not be
He's
surprised.
going to go out in a blaze of glory, which is exactly what he wants. So I won't
It
even feel that
is.
sad about it. So
You just know if he goes out attempting a crazy stunt, as long as it's on film, he's okay with it.
So my hope for the next couple then is that they keep Simon Pegg, keep Ving Rhames, keep Rebecca Ferguson, hopefully bring back a couple others. Like if Jeremy Renner and Paula Patton can come back, that's great. Because it always bugs me when one of them leaves because it feels like, oh, we only had that person for 1 or 2 movies. I like the team dynamic, which is part of what the original show was.
Simon Pegg still around?
Yeah, he's been in since 3. He's been him and Ving Rhames have been, because Ving Rhames hasn't been in all of them. He's like dipped out once or twice but came back. Simon Pegg has been there since 3 onwards without a failure.
Fair.
So I hope the team sticks around. That'd be great. So no, that's good. Decent news.
Yeah, this is cool for people who like those films.
Next up, 10 Cloverfield Lane director Dan Trachtenberg has signed on to be the new director on Uncharted.
No, that's still a thing, is it?
Yes. I don't know how many directors we've been through. I don't know how many scripts we've been through, how many rumours, but he's now signed on. Sean Levi left because of scheduling issues, apparently. The rumour is that Tom Holland's in line to star, which is weird because it's like, oh, so we're doing a kid Nathan Drake.
Yeah, how young are they going on this?
Because Nathan Drake in the original game is...
He's probably like 30s, right?
Yeah, he's at his youngest, he's like maybe 28, right? Like...
Yeah. He's not a spry young fella.
Yeah, he's a proper adult. He's out of that youthful college look phase, right? He's at his youngest, he's in his late 20s. But I kind of think of him as early 30s more than anything. And so they're going younger, which I guess at least separates it from the games a little bit. It does mean though that like, are they doing Elena? Like, because it makes sense that Sully would still be there, but it's just kind of odd.
Yeah, is it supposed to act as a prequel to the games?
I don't know.
Is it supposed to be somewhat of an adaptation, but a reimagining with him younger?
I mean, I'm frustrated with this because I don't see it really being that good, even though I like 10 Cloverfield Lane. So, I mean, obviously there's good names attached to this now. There
probably has been in the past, though.
One of the scripts was written by Joe Carnahan at one point, although they've done new versions since then.
A million rewrites.
I don't think this needs a movie. Same with Last of Us. I think Naughty Dog's properties are so well told in and of themselves that movies almost like a lose-lose situation, because unless it like does this both new but feels like it's true to the games at the same time, it might feel redundant.
I'm going to go on record and say for me, an Uncharted movie could improve my my opinion of the game.
Yes, but you've only played 1.5 though, so that's not...
No, I finished 2.
Oh, you finished 2, okay.
Thank you very much. I just didn't care enough to go on to 3.
Madness.
I think the story... No, here's the thing. I think the stories in them are fine. I just didn't enjoy the game. So it actually made me less keen on the story because I'm there being frustrated at playing it. If I can just sit back and watch, I feel like I would probably enjoy it a lot more. So yeah, go for it. Make a movie.
Such a big part of this for me is the chemistry between Nathan and Elena, and then between Nathan and Sully. Like those relationships are what drive that story for me. So if there's not going to be an Elena because he's so much younger, it's like a prequel or whatever, that'd be like a big
Sure.
That'd ruin a lot for me. But
I wouldn't care.
Well, no, you wouldn't care. You don't have to, snipe that in. The point
Well,
I'm saying
of course I do. That's what I'm here for.
I know, but like I'm talking from the perspective of people who actually like the games, which you don't.
Yeah, and I'm coming from the perspective of everyone else, which is a bigger audience.
Let's move on. I hate talking to you about Uncharted. Like, there's nothing.
I know.
There's nothing constructive to have from it. You just have to snipe it like constantly.
Yeah.
I can't talk about those games with you around without a shitty comment of some kind, and it's just tiring. I just don't like doing it. I actually try to actively avoid talking about them.
This is how I feel about Star Wars with you.
Star Wars deserves it. Moving on. So Warner Brothers has pushed back the shooting schedule for Fantastic Beasts 3. It was meant to shoot summer this year, and has been pushed back to late autumn. which isn't that big news in and of itself. The reason why I wanted to bring this up is actually the one kind of bit of comic book movie news we have. Is if you remember,
Oh, I do.
the Flash movie got pushed. It was meant to shoot late summer this year and got pushed because they had to do Fantastic Beasts in its place. So it was like, okay, because of the other things on Ezra Miller's schedule, the earliest they can now shoot it is early 2021. Or early 2020, sorry, and it would come out in 2021. And it was like, okay, that's comical, it's been pushed so many times. It was originally scheduled for 2018. You've pointed out before that he was cast on the day, or the announcement of his casting was on the day the TV show premiered, which was 2014, and they were on season 5 of that show. So that's hilarious in and of itself. So now part of you might think, well, if they've pushed that later, can that not mean they can squeeze in the Flash first? Well, in a perfect world where they had a script and a director and everything ready and pre-production already underway, sure.
But we know they don't.
But they don't. They're still rewriting the damn thing.
It's crazy to me. We got 100 episodes of the Flash show before this movie.
And on top of that as well, not only all that stuff being ready, just because it's moved later doesn't mean it wouldn't have overlapped with the end of what the Flash movie would have been shooting in its original time slot.
Yeah, because it's only pushed by a couple of months, really.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Does this affect the schedule enough that they have to push the Flash shooting a little bit later again? Now, it may not be late enough that they have to delay the whole thing by a year. It could still be 2020. But
yeah, it probably. I think it pushed it back a few months, though, because they were probably going to go straight from one into the next.
So, instead of releasing, say, summer 2021, is it now winter, November time 2021?
Yeah, I mean, after Aquaman performed so well, though, in December, maybe they're not too bothered by that, really.
It's just hilarious. It feels like Birds of Prey. There's actually like set photos appearing now of Birds of Prey of actors on set. Yeah, not in costume, just like taking photos of their chairs and their trailers and stuff. So it's there. It's happening.
Oh, no, it exists. Yeah. There's a film studio.
Yes. So that movie is underway, and then we also have obviously Wonder Woman's already been shot. So
yeah, Joker's been shot.
Yeah. So
weirdly, do you know what, is to loop back around to the bit about Fantastic Beasts being pushed. There is something interesting there for me, is that this is a change of direction for Warner Bros. Because up until recently, their ideal had been just get it out. They were like, right, just whatever they could, hit the date, go. Don't push it if you can avoid it.
Do you think the reception to the last ones maybe what's changed with this?
Possibly, although I don't know if that's not just Fantastic Beasts. That was what it applied to. It applied to a lot of their movies, from what I was reading. So, and this seems to be a change of direction across the board of giving movies more time to breathe if they need it.
Well, if it's across the board, then I like it. I like that that's the change of mentality. If it's just with Fantastic Beasts because of the reaction to the last one, then it's less of a positive.
I still like it because it means they're acknowledging it.
It's only positive for that one movie, though. It's not positive for everything else. Whereas if it's like...
from what I was reading, it is across the board a change in mentality, which is, I mean, sure, it sucks if your movies are being delayed and you are looking forward to it, but hey, I'd rather it be delayed and get a better movie. A delayed
movie is a good movie eventually. A bad movie is bad forever.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a delayed movie could be a good movie. It may still be bad. I mean, they could still just be shit.
Yeah, but you've got a better chance, right?
Yeah. All right, so moving on. Paramount is developing a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, which will not be connected to the previous Bay-produced...
Didn't we just have one of these?
Duo? What do you mean?
Wasn't that like a year ago?
I think it was 2017 was the second one. Maybe 2016? Something like that.
Yeah, okay. It feels very recent.
It's been a couple of years. I mean, it does feel recent, but... so yeah, they're developing a new one. And this just came from interviewing the producers who are like, nah, we're doing another one. It might start shooting by the end of the year. But I wonder if this is, again, kind of this mentality of, okay, they've done this version that pissed off a lot of old fans. Maybe they've come around to the idea of, like, we can make something that does work for all the kids and all the new people we want to pull in, but would also get the nostalgia stuff, or not the nostalgia audience, who want to actually support it because they liked it in their own youth. Yeah, that would be the perfect of, the mix of both worlds, the best of both worlds.
It would. Here's the thing. Nostalgia is bankable.
It is, yes.
It really is. That's a fact. So why wouldn't you cash in on that?
Because because the argument there then is, well, not only do you have this older audience who would be willing to give it a chance, if they've got kids, they'll want to share the thing they like with their kids. It's kind of, it makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. So maybe we'll get an unbastardized version of Turtles. Maybe that's what will happen now. I'm not going to get my hopes up too much, but
hey, I mean, it seems to have worked for Transformers.
Yeah, the reception will be pretty good, which I actually might see this week. I haven't had a chance yet, but
I'm hoping to. My cinema has dropped it down to one showing a day, unfortunately, so it'll be timing permitting. But I am hoping to get to it because I'm really into that trailer. Everything I've heard about it sounds pretty good.
But yeah, so new Turtles movie. Hopefully it works out. And it's worth mentioning that's also Paramount, and if they've learned a lesson from Transformers, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
they'll do a proper.
I know
which notably is the other franchise that was beified.
It was, and here's the thing. I know Bumblebee performed pretty well. Obviously,
in the end, it didn't perform well at first, but in the end, after all of its weeks internationally, it actually ended up okay.
It ended up okay, but not it's still probably disappointing compared to the other Transformers movies.
But
right?
this is the thing, though. People who were burned on the previous ones are the ones who aren't showing up. If they check out Bumblebee later, or word of mouth helps it, then you start to build trust again.
For the next one, yeah.
You build trust again. It's not the worst movie in the franchise that gets the lowest box office. It's the one after it that does, theoretically. So, Anyway, next up, Anne Hathaway, background to her. She's been cast in The Witches, Robert Zemeckis' adaptation of Roald Dahl's novel. Also, Viola Davis is apparently in talks as well for another role.
Cool. I love The Witches.
The Witches follows a 7-year-old boy who stumbles upon a witch convention and must stop them. The studio previously made a loose adaptation of the book in 1990 with Nicholas Roeg directing and Angelica Houston starring. Zemeckis' version, which he is writing, will apparently be more faithful to the source material. So that's what's happening.
Be fair, barring the ending of the 90s movie, it wasn't that unfaithful.
I never knew there was a 90s movie, and I'm sure I said that the last time this came up in the news, but I'd forgotten
again. And also, it came up on my list when we did the 90s countdown.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah, you should watch it. It really leans into being a kids horror movie. I feel like you'd enjoy that.
Okay. Next up, Madeline Petch, who plays Cheryl Blossom on Riverdale. If you don't know who that is,
I'm familiar.
The current Red Arrow, as well. She is producing and starring in a horror comedy called Clear at 16, which is based on the upcoming Dawn Roth novel from Baker and Taylor. It's Mark Pavia who's directed Stephen King's The Night Flyer, which I didn't know that had a movie or when it came out. Unless it's not out yet, in which case it's just something that's coming up that he's directed.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
But yeah, so he's going to write and direct this. Clear at 16 tells the story of Claire Bleecker, an average Catholic schoolgirl student. I stumbled there for some reason. An average Catholic schoolgirl student who lives with her grandparents after being orphaned. She seems normal, but Claire will do whatever it takes to protect loved ones when confronted by the evil she faces in her small town. That's very vague, and doesn't even hint at the horror comedy element that the description said. However, the cover of the novel has her, like the main character. Obviously, it's just an illustration for the book, but it's her turning round with the making a shush face as if she's kind of devious. So, I'm expecting. I don't know what I'm expecting, to be honest.
Yeah,
Is
I
she
like
a
the
witch?
actress well enough for this sort of role.
Yeah, no, it seems to fit her. If she's kind of like the anti-hero kind of teenager, I can kind of see that with her.
I can see her in that, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea if there's actual like supernatural like threat or if she's. I don't know what's going on.
No, wait and hear more of this one. A trailer could definitely convince me this could be right up my street.
Yeah. So next up, so if you thought the Kevin Hart controversy of the Oscar hosting gig was going to slow down his career, you might be wrong, because the next two stories are about new movies starring him.
Oh, I know.
The first one, Kevin Hart is going to be in Fatherhood at Sony. Obviously, this will be after he does Jumanji 2. Paul Weitz is directing from a recent draft from Dana Stevens' script. In fact, he's rewriting that script, actually. So, it's based on the memoir from Matt Logelin called Two Kisses for Maddie, a memoir of loss and love. The memoir covered his courtship and marriage to his high school sweetheart Liz. By the time they settled in LA, they had everything, especially when they learn a daughter is on the way. After Madeline was born, a tragedy struck. Liz suffered a pulmonary embolism and died instantly, even before she got to hold their daughter. There was a little time to grieve the life-shattering loss for Logolin, as his wife bore the brunt of the impending jump into parenting, and suddenly he was the sole caretaker of a newborn daughter, his link to his beloved wife. So, sad story. Maybe a more serious role for Hart.
Yeah, I'm struggling to picture this with him.
It's hard, but it is maybe a sign that he's trying to take in more drama roles and maybe extend his reach as an actor. And the next film he's in, Lionsgate and Hasbro's live-action adaptation, if you can call it that, of Monopoly. Which this article points out, the live-action feature Monopoly is pass and go.
Can't blame him. It's an easy one, right?
So Kevin Hart set to star as the lead character. His collaborator from Ride Along, director Tim Story, is going to direct it.
Does it say which piece he's playing?
Not a piece per se. I think he's playing a piece. The logline's actually been kept secretive, but the previous version of the project that was rumoured for a while centred on a young man from the game's modest Baltic Avenue on a quest to make a fortune. So I think it's the idea that someone's actually going to move to...
Someone who lives in that world is working their way around the board up to the high bits. The
dark blue.
Yeah. I assume he's from the browns or maybe the light blues.
Yes, on that first side of the board, yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to work his way around, and he's like, oh, I want to be in that royal blue.
But does he find the community chest at any point? That's the real question.
And the real question is, though,
does he go to jail?
If he does, if he does find the community chest, are they playing by traditional Monopoly rules or house rules? Where, house rules where you get all the tax back, right, from the middle of the board.
If you land on the right...
Yeah, if you land on free parking.
On the corner, yeah, the opposite go. No, who knows what this will be, but that's happening. Next up, in fact, speaking of Kevin Hart, he's in The Upside. The Upside director, Neil Burger. Imagine your last name being Burger. Neil Burger.
I would not want to be that guy at school.
Who also worked on Divergent, of all things, is going to make a sci-fi thriller called Voyagers, which will be fully financed and co-produced by Stuart Ford's AGC Studios. Burger will direct from his own original screenplay. The project focuses on 30 children set into space on a multi-generational mission to reach and populate a newly discovered planet. Pardon me. Voice is giving in. After the adult captain of the mission is mysteriously killed, the young crew descends into chaos, reverting to a primitive tribal state of being and giving in to their most feral and animal desires.
So it's Lord of the Flies in space.
Yes.
That's really what this sounds like, and
that's not
I'm
a bad
okay
idea.
With that.
Yeah, it's not a terrible idea.
From the guy that did Divergent.
Yes.
Less confident.
Yeah, but A, I don't know if that was any good, and B,
I've seen it. It's not.
Okay, but it was based on something, whereas this is his original screenplay. So
yeah, that's fair.
Maybe he's a good writer. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, who knows? We'll see. Because that does sound like something we'll probably watch if it's not looking atrocious.
Next up, the Help stars Bryce Dallas Howard and Octavia Spencer are going to be working together on Universal's upcoming female ensemble comedy, Fairy Tale Ending. They're planning on starring. Seth MacFarlane is also going to produce, but unfortunately there's no news on what the actual story is.
So this is a bit of a non-story.
Well, no, there's enough names there that it felt weird to ignore it.
Sure. You could have, once we knew what it was, be like, and these people are attached, and that could have been the story.
Nah, your goalposts move all the time. If I hadn't mentioned this and then someone brought it up, you complain at me for not putting it in, so I'm not going to.
I would if it was something I was interested in.
See, exactly. Goalposts. Next up,
goalposts are subjective.
Sofia Coppola is going to direct a film starring Bill Murray. This is notable because they're reuniting after Lost in Translation, which is now 16 years old. Goddamn. And it's also an A24 movie.
Okay.
Notably, though, it's A24 and Apple.
Okay.
So A24 are doing exclusive movies for Apple, which is going to be
directed about that.
by Coppola and starring Bill Murray. It's called On the Rocks, and the movie follows a young mother who reconnects with her larger-than-life playboy father on an adventure through New York, which sounds like a perfect kind of follow-up to Lost in Translation, if you've seen that movie.
Yeah.
It also mentions Rashida Jones is going to star with Murray. So
I like Rashida Jones.
there's nothing in this description I don't like. I like the director. I like the characters or the actors rather.
I mean, I dislike the Apple part.
Sure, but you're just gonna have to get used to that. That's going to be a thing.
I'm not going to get used to it. I'm going to grumble about it
I
for
feel,
the end till the end of time.
I feel we've been talking about movies and TV shows that Apple are doing for like a year and a half now, and
And I still
all,
grumble.
it's getting weird now that it still doesn't exist. Like they're going to have so many things ready to go. Like my hope is that because we've been talking about it for so long, that they will have a pretty packed, consistent schedule of things coming out, even at first.
Yeah.
It's expected to be slow usually, but I feel like they've had so many things like bubbling away that it might actually be quite consistent.
It might. The danger is that they go, here, let's launch with everything. Or not like everything, but like quite a lot. And we have to go, right, okay, let's pick and choose what we're going to cover in what order.
Oh, yeah, for our perspective. Yeah, hopefully it's just 2 or 3 things. And
yeah,
that's a bit easier. We can try first episodes or whatever.
But at this point, I'm going, Apple can afford to go, here's 10 things on day one.
They can't actually afford to do that because they're Apple.
They go, here's 10 things on day one, and then something every 2 weeks for the next 6 months.
Yes. So, next up, Gary Oldman has joined Olga Kurylenko in a UK action thriller called The Courier, which is going to start shooting in London next week. If you don't know who Olga Kurylenko is, she was in Oblivion with Tom Cruise. I first saw her in a film called, I think it was called Centurion. It was the director from the Descent. Michael Fassbender was in it. In fact, it was one of the
Centurion,
yeah, it was one of the first things I saw Michael Fassbender in. Actually, now that I think about it,
I never saw it, but it's been on my radar for a while actually.
Yeah. So she's someone who stuck out to me in that movie because she was this kind of like silent, deadly character, and she popped up in Oblivion, but I feel like I've not seen her actually in that much over the years. It's just been kind of a spattering here or there, but. So she's going to play a courier whose daily deliveries are interrupted when she discovers that her package is a bomb aimed at killing a witness who is about to testify against a ruthless crime lord. The crime lord is played by Oldman. So this could end up being a really forgettable generic thriller, or it could end up being a fun movie.
Yeah, I can see it going either way.
It's hard to
Oldman's
say.
been involved in his fair share of generic, forgettable shite.
He's a great actor.
Especially as a villain.
Yeah, he's a great actor, but he does have a lot of generic shit as well that he's in. Next up, John Boyega is going to executive produce a South African crime thriller called God is Good, which has been described by producers as in the vein of Prisoners and City of God. Now, I've seen both those movies. They are nothing alike, so I assume what they mean...
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I assume what they mean is that it's a mix of the two, which is fine, but, like...
Poor sentence choice of in the vein of implies similar to both of these things because they're contextually similar.
So I'm expecting kind of a setting of City of God, but with a kidnapping or disappearance plot.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Would be what I'd assume. Boyega is also setting up a record label called Upper Room Records, which will oversee the film's soundtrack. So
Boyega's a busy man.
Yeah, a little entrepreneur coming out of Boyega. He's using that Star Wars cred to do whatever he wants, by the sounds of it. Which go for it, I guess. So set in Cape Town's Cape Flats, the English language film will follow a reformed gangster turned pastor and a volatile detective who cross paths after an act of brutal violence sets them on a collision course with a heinous gang lieutenant. Casting discussions are underway with a shoot planned for spring of this year. So,
nothing in that made me think of Prisoners. In that plot description.
I assume the violent act maybe is like maybe the idea of like because in Prisoners Hugh Jackman gets kind of violent trying to find these kids. Maybe that's kind of what they meant.
Sure.
But next up, bad, though. In a competitive situation, Screen Gems has acquired the motion picture rights to the popular video game.
Are you going to say Candy Crush?
Depending on your perspective, this might be worse.
Oh, God.
Just Dance.
Yes, I did see this.
They're going to develop a film franchise based on the game, and that's basically all the news is. But I thought that was still notable.
Yeah, what the...
It'll just be a dance competition movie. That's literally all this can be. It'll be called Just Dance, which makes it no different to any other dance competition movie.
Just with name recognition.
Yeah, that's really all it can be.
That game still actually sells on the freaking Wii.
It does. The new one came out in the Wii well, last year now because we're in 2019, but
The latest one, yeah.
yeah, didn't come out on Wii U, but it came out in the Wii, which is so weird. So it's also a testament that the Wii U tanked tremendously and the Wii didn't. But
Yeah, but
amusing.
crazy.
Anyway, that takes us on to the horror section. Just a couple of stories left then. First up in the horror section, it was announced that Paramount Pictures will release Crawl in August 19th, 2019. So coming up this year. This is from Alexandra Aja, who did High Tension, aka Switchblade Romance, but also the Hills Have Eyes remake. I say it like that because I liked High Tension, but not the Hills Have Eyes remake, so could go either way on this for me. But it is a thriller that stars a Kea Scodelario and Barry Pepper. In Crawl, it sounds kind of similar to Burning Bright, which is a movie that's about a person being trapped in a house with a tiger during a hurricane, which sounds kind of amazing.
That sounds so insane. I want to see it.
Yeah, so this is a similar kind of premise, actually. Scoladero will play a young woman who, while struggling to save her father during a Category 5 hurricane, finds herself trapped inside a flooding house and fighting her life against Florida's most savage and feared predators. So we're talking alligators, we're talking snakes, we're talking...
Yeah, it's not as interesting as a tiger.
It's not, but, like, the thing is, though, they're so similar that I can see either one of these turning out to be the good one. You know, they could both suck, but it could very well be a case of one is just better made, and that's the good one of this premise.
Yeah. No, it is. I'm inherently more drawn to the tiger.
Sure.
But that does not necessarily mean it was the better movie. I will concede.
Yes. Sam Raimi's producing this as well. So
cool.
That's coming out in August. Look forward to that on Streams After Midnight. We'll make that alligator month. We'll do lots of alligator movies.
Oh, yeah. You won't have to convince Tim. He'll be right in there.
Oh, Tim will be up for that, yeah. And then the final news story is just a slight movie release date, and it's very slight, very, very slight.
This is gonna be, if this is like 3 days, it's not even worth mentioning.
It's 1 day, but
even less worth mentioning.
No, the reason is actually quite notable.
Okay.
So it's Happy Death Day to You. It was meant to come out on February 14th, Valentine's Day, and it's been moved ahead to February 13th. The reason being is that it's also the anniversary of the Parkland shooting, and one of the fathers of one of the victims was a little bit distressed that there was all this advertising of Happy Death Day to You for the anniversary of his kid's death, and he put out an open letter, and Universal actually responded and said, you know what, you're right, we'll move it to the 13th. Obviously they didn't think about that when they dated it. It wasn't like on their minds that that's what that date was.
No, they were going Valentine's.
Yeah. But they're moving to the 13th, and they're actually not going to release it in Parkland itself. Parkland won't get the movie, at least at first, and it won't be advertised there anymore. Like, advertising in that market will be suspended out of respect. It's just kind of a good move. It's a nice gesture. Because I would have expected them just to ignore this and not care. Yeah. But they said, you know what, no, we'll move it a day.
I guess the only thing is, sucks for the people in Parkland who wanted to escape and see the movie. We're looking forward to it. I'm sure there was plenty of those people.
Yeah, I mean...
yeah. I'm just saying, if I were them, I'd be a little bit disappointed.
I mean, sure. But I mean, like, I don't know if it actually means it won't come out at all, or if it, you know...
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Yeah. Worst case scenario, drive to another town, but I get it. It makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I would have just released it a week later there, but, you know, if this is what I've decided, then go for it. But, yeah, so I just thought it was worth mentioning because it was kind of a nice gesture when you would think they might have just ignored it. But instead, they said,
fair enough.
Universal said, you know what, no, we'll change it and we'll stop advertising it there. So, there you go. So, there you go, that's the news. That is the first news show of 2019. And it went kind of okay. Wasn't too terrible.
You didn't mess up too many names?
I didn't, no. Less
than usual.
Well, I got it out of my system in that first TV news because that was a shambles.
It was a shambles.
So that is the first news.
Yeah.
Did you happen to watch anything this week that wasn't for a show?
I've watched a couple over the past couple of weeks. That...
Oh no! Don't go further back.
No, not crazy far. I've just got a couple I want to cherry pick.
Okay.
I'm not doing the whole month's worth. Come on.
All right. Okay.
Just a couple of ways to cherry pick. I watched Halloween.
All right, the new one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Big old bowl of disappointment, that, innit?
I was not impressed myself. Me and Tim were both quite down on it.
Yeah. In
our 90-minute review, you can go check out.
Yeah. Just a couple of. Have you got many?
I'm going to mention the movie I watched on the stream this week because I think it's worth
Oh, all right, we'll
telling you
leave that
about.
one till last then. Yeah.
Yeah. Do I have any serious ones? I haven't actually thought about it. Let me go check. You do your next one.
Yeah. Been basically my theme at the minute is 2018 movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isle of Dogs. I watched. It was pretty good. I didn't love it.
I have one.
Okay, you can do that one next.
I have one notable one. Yes.
Isle of Dogs. It was all right. I liked it well enough. It didn't live up to my expectations though. And out of the animated films I've seen this year, it's not even cracking top 3. It's maybe in the top 5. But I mean, it's been a good year for animation, and this didn't cut it, frankly.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, I watched Venom. It's shit.
It is a beautiful mess.
It's not a beautiful mess. It's mildly amusing at points, but not often enough to be anything more than shit.
Oh, I disagree.
It's shit. The fact that that's made like more than most Spider-Man movies now is ridiculous to me. The fact that this makes Sony confident they can get away with this crap upsets me dearly. So,
do you want to know the sad truth though? I'd rather watch that again instead of most Spider-Man movies.
Although I watched. Nah, I'd still even the dated Raimi movies I'd still rather watch than Venom.
I'm going on record and say, if you give me Venom plus every Spider-Man movie and go right, watch your favorite, not your favorites, watch the ones you're going to enjoy. There's only one I'd watch before Venom.
Venom is garbage. I don't. It's just,
it is.
It's a shambles of a movie that feels like it was written in 2002.
Yeah.
And it's garbage. I have nothing else to add. It's terrible.
It's Tom Hardy's atrociously bad performance throughout that makes it compelling in the worst of ways that I get so much enjoyment out of it. It's not a good movie. It's atrocious.
Go on, have one more.
Can I do 2 really quickly?
Right,
one's a quick one. Basically, the girlfriend had a day off last week. She watched like 4 films. I sat down. She went, "I'm going to watch one more, but I don't really want to watch anything serious." And I went, "Fine, just put on whatever." And she put on The Great Wall. That one with Matt Damon. Is it Matt Damon?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a mess. It's a frustrating mess though, because there's things in it that I really like. There is some gorgeous use of color throughout. Visually, like the CG creatures aside, visually it's kind of a spectacle.
Creatures?
Oh yeah, there's like alien creatures in it.
I thought it was like a historical film.
No, not really. There's alien creatures attacking China.
Turns out I had no idea what the hell this was.
Yeah. It's basically there's these creatures they're controlled by like a mother hen thing, like and the mother controls them all, and they've got to kill the queen basically. Yeah.
Okay.
You should watch it for the absurdity because it's not unenjoyable, is what I will say.
I thought it was like a war movie, and Matt Damon was like white savior man coming to help the Chinese army.
No,
or
not
something.
even close.
Jesus Christ!
No,
All right. Next,
but just to say, the final sequence takes place in this tower with these like stained glass windows, and the light stream. It's absolutely gorgeous, like genuinely. Worth watching for that alone for me, even though it's not a very good movie. And then the last one I do want to mention is The Favourite. This is a proper movie. This one, none of that Great Wall nonsense. This is phenomenal. I loved this movie. It is full of absurdist comedy. At points, it's very Monty Python-esque in some of the dialogue in it. It gets so overboard and wacky in that things that just shouldn't make sense somehow do in this movie. And when they don't, it's very funny that they don't. There is a dance sequence that made me laugh more than pretty much anything else in the last few months. And I can't believe that I'm saying that because it was a dance sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But it really worked for me. all the performances are phenomenal. I'd love this movie. Definitely go and see it if you get a chance. It's the same director as The Lobster, but this is a lot more accessible than that movie was. But you know, I originally saw the trailer and went, oh, it's a period piece, right? No, it's a straight up comedy thing, absurdist comedy. It's not just a period drama. So realign your expectations and then check it out.
Video viewers are getting a rare cameo from Wesker, my black cat. He doesn't jump up as much during the show.
And
anyway, he's gone. So yeah, so one of the things that started actually over Christmas, since the last time we've done these news shows, is that I do a weekly stream on the YouTube channel. Two, in fact. I do a sort of reasonable time one and a late night one. And the late night one has become a tradition over the last couple of weeks to live watch a movie with the audience. Either one that's readily available on YouTube or on Netflix or whatever. This past week's movie was a movie that I'd heard was like so bad it's good. You know, it's one of those sort of legendary, okay, this is a really bad movie, but it's worth watching. It's called Hard Ticket to Hawaii, which you can find on YouTube. And I'll just say it's worth it for three scenes. It's worth it for three scenes. There's the skateboarder rocket launcher scene. Also sex blow up doll. There's the frisbee with razor blades around the edge scene.
I may be intrigued.
And then we return to the rocket launcher with a giant mutated snake. Those are the three scenes that make that movie worth watching.
I feel like I need to see this.
It's called Hard Ticket to Hawaii. And you'll think the first like 15 minutes are introducing, oh, this is a movie about a killer snake, and then the killer snake will just not show up for like 40 minutes while this whole plot about drug kingpins is happening. It's a whole thing. It's a terrible movie, obviously, but it's an entertaining in places terrible movie. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
The next movie actually we're doing late Wednesday this coming week. If you're watching this, you know, when it's fresh, this episode, we're doing Bird Box.
Yeah. What time's that stream for anyone who wants to check it out?
That's Wednesday night. That'll be 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. Or if you're feeling like you're staying up late in the UK, 4 a.m. if you're up for it. But the back half of that stream is the movie watch, and we're going to do Bird Box. Some people have asked about us reviewing that. We weren't really ever going to get around to it, but I figure it'd be a fun one to.
Yeah, and you can check in with your thoughts next week.
Yes. So that's what we're doing. So that's live stream. We do the normal time on a Monday, which is every Monday. The late one kind of dances between Tuesday or Wednesday, week to week. But Monday's the usual early one at 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, and noon Pacific. So you can try for that. And it's basically just like a Q&A type thing. I just sit and talk with the chat about anything that we typically cover. And then at the end of the late night one is the movie watch.
Basically, they're the reason that we have a merch store.
Yes, because T-shirts were requested, and I did it live on stream. I set up a store and said, hey, you can go buy a shirt if you want.
Yeah. And some of the mad bastards did.
Yes, we've actually sold a few items, which is insane. Still thinking about more designs, more things to put on shirts. There's still some show logos to consider. Maybe even redesign some logos, give some things a fresh, like a paint, perhaps. Because you'll notice we have a new Mailed Fuzz TV logo. In fact, even the little ident that plays at the start is a new little animation.
I noticed that seems to be popping up somewhere down in the corner of the screen now.
It does.
For some reason.
I mean, that's a feature that YouTube's had for a long time. I just decided to implement it.
I'd never seen it before, and obviously then you did the logo, and I clicked on something to respond to a comment, and I saw it there, and I was like, huh, that's new.
Yeah, it's just channel branding. It also works as a handy subscribe button.
Does
the whole thing, yeah. So.
Well, there you go. So if you haven't clicked that subscribe button and you're still here, there it is.
Yeah. So we have merch. Yeah, so we have a merch store. There's a UK store and a US store. There'll be links to both in the description. There's shirts, hoodies, all sorts of things. You can have a look. I won't get in more depth than that because we've talked about it before in other shows. But other than that, let us know what you thought of the news this week. Like, subscribe. You can of course support us over on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month. But that is it. So we'll see you guys next time. Also worth mentioning, actually, we usually talk about what we've done movie-wise recently. A review of Reign of the Supermen went up this week, so you can check out that. That's the most recent DC animated movie. In terms of influx, Patrons got the first half of our top 50 movies of the 80s, so everyone else will be getting that this coming Friday. Patreon will get the second half this Friday, so look forward to that. That's what's coming up.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned near the start, or maybe it was in the trailer video, we actually kind of did these back to back. We have got quite a slate planned coming up for movies.
Yes.
Over the next, month, 6 weeks or so. So actually, 2 months going into all the way into the end of March, we've got quite a slate planned.
Well, yeah, different though. Up until the end of February, we have 2018 catch-up movies planned. We've got a good handful of those. March is going to be Batman month because it's Batman's 80th birthday. Also, his 1000th issue of Detective Comics. So, look forward to that. And it's technically not his 1000th issue. I've said that before. It's just easier to say.
It's the 1000th issue. Yeah. But so I mean, movies are coming. They've been a little bit lighter recently. We will admit that, but they're coming.
So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Thank you very much once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching movies, guys, and we will see you next time.